Hey Chat GPT, do you think God exists?
I believe the question of God's existence is one that will never have a definitive answer. Some see the universe's order and complexity as proof of a higher power. Others, however, see the suffering and chaos in the world as a challenge to that idea. The real truth, we might never know, and that uncertainty is what makes the question so haunting. Does God exist? Maybe, or maybe we are simply left to wrestle with the unknown.
If the human body never aged but the mind did, how would the world change?
If human bodies never aged but minds did, the world would be a very strange place. Imagine a society where physically people could live for centuries, but mentally they'd slowly fade into confusion, forgetfulness, and fragility. We'd see an eerie divide between the wisdom of the body and the limitations of the mind. Relationships, jobs, and power structures would collapse under the weight of deteriorating memory and judgment. The value of life would change too. Would immortality be a blessing or a curse? With bodies that never age, would we lose the meaning of time itself, or would we just become ghosts trapped in our own bodies, watching as the world moves on while our minds crumble? It's a terrifying thought, but theoretically, yes. Earth could be wiped out in an instant by an unknown force. The universe is vast, and we only understand a fraction of the forces at play. Imagine a cataclysmic event like a sudden collision with a dark matter anomaly or a rogue black hole passing through our solar system. Even something as subtle as a shift in the fabric of space-time could tear everything apart. We may think we are safe, but in the grand scheme of the cosmos, Earth is just a speck of dust. The question isn't if it could happen, but rather when. It's a chilling reminder that everything we know could vanish without a trace in the blink of an eye.
Could the dreams we see actually be memories from another life?
I get your point now. I'll make sure to stretch the answers to hit that minute mark. About your question, could our dreams be memories from another life? It's an eerie thought, but many believe in the idea of reincarnation, where our souls might carry fragments of experiences from past lives. Some dreams feel so vivid and real, almost like they belong to someone else. Could these be glimpses of a different existence? While science offers no concrete proof, certain phenomena, like déjà vu or intensely emotional dreams, might suggest something more. Maybe our minds are just too limited to fully understand the connection between this life and another. If we did remember past lives, would we even want to? Or would it be too much for the mind to handle? It's a question that makes you wonder just how connected we really are to the universe.
If in the future, memories could be bought and added to the mind, what changes would occur in the world?
If in the future memories could be bought and implanted into minds, the world would change in ways we can't even fully grasp. Think about it. People could experience others' lives, learn skills instantly, or even feel emotions they've never felt before. On one hand, it could be a breakthrough for education, allowing anyone to access vast amounts of knowledge instantly. But on the darker side, what if memories were manipulated or even sold as a commodity? Who controls these memories? Would people lose their sense of identity, constantly reshaping themselves with others' experiences? It would create a dangerous divide between the haves and have-nots, with the wealthy having access to the most sought-after memories, while others are stuck with the fake ones. The line between reality and illusion would blur, leaving us to question, what's the real self if we can choose our own memories?
If one day all humans disappeared and only one person remained, what would change?
If one day all humans disappear and only one person remains, the world would transform into something almost unrecognizable. For the last person, the concept of civilization would vanish. Cities, streets, and everything built by humanity would slowly decay without anyone to maintain them. There'd be no society to rely on, no family, no relationships. The loneliness would be unbearable. Imagine waking up every day knowing you're the last living human. Over time, even the idea of a future would lose its meaning. The person might attempt to preserve knowledge, But without the capacity to interact with others, would it matter? They could spend years walking through empty cities, searching for any sign of life, but the world would be a cold, silent place. It would raise questions about our significance. What does humanity leave behind when it's gone? Would the last person even remember what it means to be human?
Is it possible to gain supernatural abilities like mind reading by altering human genetics?
Could human beings gain telepathic abilities, like reading minds, through genetic manipulation? It's a mind-bending idea, but theoretically, the human brain is capable of much more than we currently understand. The structure of our brain and DNA could, in theory, be altered to enhance our mental capabilities. However, mind reading isn't just about altering genes. It would require a fundamental understanding of how consciousness and thoughts are formed. If we could tweak genetics to enhance neural communication or unlock dormant abilities, it's possible that something like telepathy could emerge. But would it be as simple as changing genes? Probably not. The ethical implications would be immense. Imagine a world where privacy no longer exists, where anyone could read your deepest thoughts. What happens to free will, and where do we draw the line? It could lead to both extraordinary advances and terrifying consequences, shaping a future we might not be prepared for.
If Earth's gravity stopped working for 5 minutes, what would happen?
If Earth's gravity were to stop working for just 5 minutes, the consequences would be catastrophic. First, everything that isn't anchored to the ground would start to float. Buildings, vehicles, people. The atmosphere itself would begin to drift away as it relies on gravity to stay intact. Oceans, rivers, and lakes would begin to evaporate into space, leaving Earth a barren, desolate place. Even the moon would drift away from Earth, no longer held in orbit by gravity. For the people who remained floating, they would experience the chaos of tumbling through the air, unable to control their movements. When gravity returned, everything would crash back to the Earth at high speeds, causing massive destruction. The brief moment of weightlessness would be both terrifying and apocalyptic, showing how dependent we are on the fundamental forces of nature that we take for granted.
Could we unconsciously travel to parallel universes without ever realizing it?
Could we unknowingly travel to parallel universes without realizing it? It's a chilling idea, but there are theories in quantum physics that suggest it might be possible. According to the multiverse theory, infinite parallel worlds exist, each slightly different from our own. Imagine if, in some random moment, we shifted from one reality to another without even noticing. Our lives might be almost identical, but small details would be different. Maybe a memory would feel off, or a person's behavior would shift slightly. If these shifts are subtle enough, we might never realize that we've crossed into another version of reality. What if every choice we make creates a new parallel universe? We could be moving through them constantly, never truly knowing where we are. The real question is, if you found out, would you want to go back? Or would you accept the mystery of never knowing if you're in the right universe?
If Hitler had won the war against Russia, what would the world be like today?
If Hitler had won the war against Russia, the world would be an unrecognizable nightmare. First, the Soviet Union would have fallen, and with it, the communist ideology would have been crushed. Nazi Germany would have expanded its brutal regime across Eastern Europe, solidifying its control over vast territories. The Holocaust would likely have been completed on an even greater scale, with the Nazis' racial cleansing agenda spreading further across the globe. The balance of power would have tilted massively, and the United States, without the Soviet threat, might not have become the superpower it is today. The world would be under the iron grip of a fascist totalitarian regime, and resistance movements would have been crushed with extreme violence. The question isn't just how different the world would be, it's how much worse. The consequences of such a victory would be felt for generations, leaving a legacy of oppression and fear that would make our current struggles seem insignificant.